It's early November, and today's video is a garden tour of the other side bed in our front yard. This particular bed features red twig dogwood, yellow twig dogwood, knockout roses, evergreens, perennials, and grasses. I'm Laura from Garden Sanity. Let's get started. So here's a river birch tree. It's pretty tall already. Leaves are almost all gone. It loses its leaves on the early side. Nice big size, anchors this side of the yard compared to the river birch we've got on the other side. At the front of this bed, we have small grasses. These are called little bunny grasses, Pennisetum. And right now, as you can see, they're mostly done. I definitely am going to have to divide these in the springtime. There's 5 of them. And then behind them, if we step into the bed, are 3 blue star junipers. Blue star junipers, you may remember, I have in a few other beds here in the front yard. I like to repeat plants to give it some continuity between each bed. It makes for a nice look as you see different colors and textures repeated. Up from the blue star juniper is a really pretty Hinoki Cypress. It's rather small, but this is really pretty in the wintertime. It really stands out, especially against the river birch tree bark behind it. It's very nice. Going further into the bed, almost hidden back here, is a Kramer's red winter Heath. I originally had 2 of them here, 1 died. That's what happens. But again, as I mentioned in previous videos, it is absolutely stunning in the wintertime. Beautiful magenta fuchsia flowers from about December through April. Not exaggerating. It's so pretty. So these are red twig and yellow twig dogwoods. They go all the way up the side. The leaf color isn't anything spectacular in the fall, but it does kind of glow in the sunlight, which is nice. You notice here for the yellow twig dogwood, the leaves are a little bit more yellow, not to be funny. And then for the red twig dogwood, you've got leaves that still kind of glow in the sunlight, a little more veined. So you see how this one's black. I obviously cut it back before, but you see how it's over time it just gets old, turns black, and it's not as vibrant red as some of these newer stems. So what I'll do is right before the winter time, I'll cut all those out, anything that's black, and I'll do that with the yellow twig dogwoods as well. And that way what I'm left with is beautiful yellow and red color interspersed. I mean, it goes down the row here. One's red, one's yellow, one is red, one is yellow. Hard to repeat. So I do that on purpose, and then here's another one. There's another one. So I cut all those out, and it'll just be gorgeous winter color. In fact, I've got a picture right now I'll put up here for you. So how did this row of red and yellow twig dogwood come to be? Well, originally I had the red twig dogwoods planted on the opposite side of the front yard. And when we decided to put arborvitaes over there, it was due in part to something I saw at the Philadelphia Flower Show in 2019. They had a display of yellow and red twig dogwoods together, and they were stunning. And as part of the display, they even included fallen leaves, like you see here. And what was neat about it is they included daffodils. And I said to my husband, I took a bunch of pictures and I said, we're doing that. And he agreed, he loved it. So what we did is we moved the red twig dogwoods, of which we have 4 rather. We moved those across here, and we bought 3 yellow twig dogwoods and interspersed them. So that's how this came to be. And yes, last spring I planted daffodils, and they look absolutely beautiful. In fact, here's a picture of what they look like, and I hope to plant more. Actually, I will be planting more this week. And over time, it's going to become prettier and prettier. But boy, do I love the yellow twig dogwoods. And they're actually becoming more popular now. So maybe I was ahead of the trend or something. But the way the stems intermingle is my favorite, and over time that's going to happen more and more with the red and the yellow twig dogwoods as they grow and fill out. As you can see, the red twigs are a lot more filled out. They're older plants. The yellow, they've got a little more ways to go to fill out, but they're getting there. And they love the bed, so I'm thrilled. Now I've come around the bed. By the way, the red and yellow twig dogwoods like moisture, and so that's one thing that's good about this bed, because it is sopping wet for some reason. It just is ridiculous. In this area here, it was actually empty for quite some time. And one of the reasons is because I tried to plant so many different things and they just got too waterlogged and I had to remove them. Right here, that's almost finished blooming, is hardy Ageratum, also known as Eupatorium. So all these flower heads that you see are dried. They were all in full bloom about a week ago, and it looked absolutely stunning. In fact, I'm going to put a video up right now so you can see what they looked like in quote-unquote full bloom. They started blooming in August, and it's early November, and it's only now that they kind of stopped their color show. So this is called a Wayside Ageratum. That's the variety it is, and I don't know if it was supposed to get as tall as it did, but I guess it's happy in its spot, and I don't mind because this is the first time I've had something grow really well here. Hiding behind this are two little Henry Sweetspires. There's one, and here's the other, with beautiful red color. Look at that color. That is just so pretty. So here's the deal. When I first planted these, and I'm going to put a picture up so you can see, I planted what I thought were really small Ageratum. I knew they were perennial. I knew they were going to get a little bigger, but they were supposed to be a nice thing to have in front of these little Henry Sweetspires, and instead what happened is, look at this. You can't even really see them. So I'm going to have to figure this out for the coming year, but I think that's a good problem for me to have after not finding anything that really grew here in this section of the bed. To actually now have two plants, I got to figure out how I'm going to move them around. Not a bad thing. Thing to know about this perennial version of Ageratum is it does spread. It can be pretty vigorous if it's happy. And in this spot, I don't mind it because, like I said, nothing was really growing here. Next to the Ageratum are little Goldstar black-eyed Susans. These are a petite version of black-eyed Susans. They bloom a little bit earlier than Goldstar black-eyed Susans if you just want a comparison. You don't see any seed heads left on these because the rabbits, which of course I call the pandemic rabbits, because this year the rabbits for some reason seem to have eaten everything they don't normally eat. But they chewed them all off. They chewed all the stems off. So what's nice is there's a lot of new leaf growth, and that's from the base. And I'm really happy about that. Even on this guy that really, I think the rabbits like this one the best. There's some leaf growth there. And then this guy's got some good new leaf growth starting. So I'm not worried about these, even though they got chewed like crazy. You know, when in doubt, try again. But these also seem to handle moisture a lot better than some of the other varieties of black-eyed Susans. So that's why I planted them here. And when they're both blooming, the Ageratum and the black-eyed Susans, it's very pretty. Behind the little Henry Sweetspire is a giant Mugo Pine. We have had this Mugo Pine for at least 12 years. It's gotten very big. Kind of let it go that big. We saw one once, I don't even remember where we were at some beautiful garden, and we saw a real large one, and we said, you know, we should let ours grow. So I'm glad we did. What you'll notice about this, since it's so old, is it's really open. You know, you got a lot of branches that are just open because I never really pruned it back. At the same time, if I can get in here more, see this? You got new growth here, which is nice. So what I'm going to do in the springtime is I probably will trim this a little bit just to try to get it a little bit back, a little smaller. But then again, it looks so pretty in the wintertime. It's just this big evergreen. It looks so pretty against the red and yellow twig dogwoods. It's really nice. And against the river birch bark. It's very pretty. So on this side, the driveway side of this bed, we've got knockout roses that are still in bloom. It is early November, as I mentioned before, and the roses are looking beautiful. I'm still deadheading them. I'm determined to keep these going as long as possible. I mean, why not? They just look so pretty. In between them, I've got 2 Helleri. So there's 3 knockouts and 2 Helleri. Japanese Helleri, I mentioned these before. Although there's some yellow growth there, I'm not too worried about it because these things are really taken off. In fact, I'm going to prune them probably next spring, trim them back a little bit. And then down here, what you won't see a lot of the time when people show you Geranium Rozanne, which is what this is the fall color. Look how pretty that is. That is just really nice. So I hope you enjoyed this garden tour today. I enjoyed bringing it to you, and especially to show you what gardens look like at a time late October, early November here in southern New Jersey when, you know, not everything is in perfect bloom, but it's still interesting to see what color and texture is in the garden. And I encourage you to do that too. If you take pictures year-round, you really get a sense of what your garden looks like, even when things aren't in bloom. And it gives you a better idea of what you might need to fill in here and there, what you might want to add, and sometimes what you might want to take out. So until next time, thanks so much. And if you like this video, please hit the like button. And if you want to see more, please subscribe.